We were unable to confirm whether we could access the Kurungi track or not, so we erred on the side of caution. Whilst a little disappointed, we didn't want to do the wrong thing. Having said that, we were on our way to the Pentecost River, so to say we were a bit excited about that was an understatement. We were packed up and on the road by 7:30 and pushing back down the Great Northern Highway to the turn-off of the Gibb River Road. A couple of photos at the sign and it was straight down to find a campsite. After arriving at the river, we took a walk to survey the situation and locate a spot. We took a bit of time as we were going to be there for a few days and of course wanted to be comfortable. Then it was time to let some air out of them black round things and move in.
Now John's just letting the tyres down because we're going to be going on a bit of a sandy track. I'll just show you where we are. That there, I don't know if you can see it, but that there is the Pentecost River crossing. And this is the other end of the old Kurungi track.
I see the smoke in the mirrors. I'm holding the key, one step away from salvation. You're like the ocean, setting me free. Out in the open, I'm picking up speed. No bad thoughts penetrate. Hold me like this is the first time. Our destiny calls, not leaving this incomplete. Won't you lay it on me? Turn the page and burn it. Let's make up a big bonfire on the beach with the stars as our lighters, and throw our problems in the flame. Throw our problems in the flame. And throw our problems in the flames. Ooh, throw our problems in the flames.
We were all set up by 10 o'clock. We needed to find some firewood, so set off further down the track to find enough for the next 3 days. While looking for some wood, we found the southern end of the Kurungi track. It's also called the Bedford Stock Route, and the sign clearly stated no public thoroughfare, so we had made the right choice. We found a good amount of wood and cut it into long manageable pieces that would go on the roof rack. Then it was back to camp for lunch. Well, lunch in the bush has never been this easy. So we are still based on the banks of the Pentecost River, and we've decided to have steak sandwiches for lunch. So we threw in some minute steak from home. Liz thought that out yesterday, given that we were going to be here for 2 or 3 days. So we're going to throw together a steak sandwich a la bush style. So we're going to cook it on the induction cooktop, just to be a little bit different. Let's see how we go. So the first thing, we're going to fry up some onions. You can't have a steak sandwich without onion. Something about the smell of cooking onions, Liz.
Oh, I know. It is just delightful.
No bread, just wraps, but that'll be fine. Bit of homemade sauce and away we go.
I'm going to take mine.
The juice is going to end up under it.
Yeah, I know. Very
Good.
nice, John.
Beautiful. I might get mine as well.
So this is our nice little wood pile that we've just collected from up the road. And I'm going to show you where we've set up our little fire. Hey, Lifedoo, can't get in a better spot than this. Look at that. It's pretty good.
We were fortunate enough to have some amazing bird life join us for the afternoon. Little pied cormorants and rainbow beefeaters displaying their fast and furious actions with magpie larks looking on. The rainbow beefeater is a striking colourful bird with its green, blue, orange and yellow plumage. It's simply beautiful. Looks to me like it's afternoon tea time. The little pied cormorant is one of the most common of Australian water birds, occurring on water bodies of almost any size. After cutting the logs into manageable pieces, we had some visitors arrive. These magpie larks made themselves at home, feasting on the buggy termitey things that I'd disturbed. Now boys, let's share. We just chilled for the rest of the afternoon and just soaked up the serenity. It looked like someone was having a bloody big barbecue with plumes of thick smoke ascending on the horizon. We've had a constant stream of traffic heading both up and down the Gibb River Road all day. But as the afternoon wore on, this had finally started to slow. We decided it was our turn to head over to take some photos and drone footage of Shiloh at this iconic place. So what's for tea, Liz?
We're going to have steak cooked on the cast iron fry pan on the fire, and for vegetables we're having baked potatoes, baked carrots cooked in the Weber, and I'm just peeling the carrots now.
You're only full.
We are also going to have a Diane sauce to go on the steak. Oil tray here that will be for the baking. We might even have some onion. Peel the potatoes.
But does that'll keep the things away? Is that it's supposed to do? Garlic?
I
Keep
think
the
that's
vampires away.
not mosquitoes.
Okay, that's a shame.
Hoping, I think, maybe big enough. And a couple of those. 1, 2. I might have to cut him in half again.
Yeah, I reckon. That's hard to do, I reckon. While you're doing that, I'm going to go and quickly check on the fire, see if we're getting some nice coals. Not a bad spot we camped at tonight either, on the Pentecost River, just north of the actual crossing. Great spot, epic. Mum the Bears back with the secret herbs and spices.
Just going to give it a bit of a shake and put the oil over. There we go. Turn the over onion. Done.
So what, half an hour?
Half an hour at least. Yes, maybe 45 minutes.
2 beers. Probably.
Yes, 2 beers.
There we go. Okay, so my turn. I've got to make my sauce. Now, this is a recipe that I picked up in my travels, and we really enjoy it. It's half a cup of cream. And I know, I'm sorry Johnny Ruth, but I am using measurers because I've tried it without, and it's either too strong, too weak. One of find things where the measurements need to be 3 tomato. Drop. And 2 Worcestershire. One.
Make sure they're full ones.
They're full. There you go. 2. Trim this garlic up. That one. Chuck it in the garlic press. Yay. Punch that in there. I know this is a bit lardy-dardy when you're camping, but it just makes things so much easier. Righto. So I'm just going to whisk this up. And I'm going to do for a little while on the gas. What generally happens is it gets a little skim on the top of it, because obviously you don't want to burn the cream, but it gets a little bit of a skim on the top of it, and then you just leave it, just let that the flavours all embellish in one another, and then just before you serve it, you warm it up for a minute.
So here's my baked veggies. They are coming along just nicely.
Right. The next thing is to grab these steaks, bring them up to room temperature, and oil and salt and pepper.
Turn over. Done. Next one.
Well, what a great, not a great spot, bloody epic. We camped on the, what would we call it, northern side of the Pentecost River, in this quaint little spot, right on the banks of the river, you can see. Old mate down the track there a bit, he's just picked himself up breakfast. He's got himself a nice little 60 centimetre barra, so on live bait. Anyway, we're having steak tonight, as you can see. All in all, so far, great trip. And you know, the plan was always to come through that track, the Bedford Stockwork track. But unfortunately, we couldn't do that. But we've ended up at the same destination, and you know, it doesn't get much better than this, honestly. You know, we do it tough in the Kimberley.
Oh, yes.
Look at that.
Look at that.
When we're done with the steak. Oh, it doesn't look too bad.
Oh, no, it's beautifully. Oh, yeah. That's nice.
Beautiful.
Tender.
Cheers.
Here's to all you lovely people. This doesn't do it justice.
When we were younger, we used to sit on the grass among the flowers. We just let the days pass by.
People would tell us to get a grip of ourselves and get a job. We didn't care what we were told, 'cause when we were younger, we used to sit on the grass and go, damn, I don't wanna grow old. I wish I could turn back time. Stay up all night singing songs on the terrace. We didn't mind sitting out in the cold.
Well, no trip to Lake Argyle would be complete without checking out the dam. Whilst we have seen it before, it's always an awesome sight. Check this out. Yeah, it's a pretty special special feat. Some details here I don't know whether we've got before. When did they start it? This park was unveiled 10th of April 1969 to mark the commencement of the work on the Ord River Dam. So this was the start. The 10th of April 1969. We better find a few more details, find out when they actually finished it. But I know that it filled expectations were that it would take quite a few years for it to be filled, and it filled in a lot shorter space of time. There's a lot of stuff that got covered up that they thought that they would actually be able to remove from the lake prior to it being covered with water. Awesome sight. You can see it goes right out there into the background. It just continues out into bays and bays and bays. Way out there, you can see it. Argyle Downs Homestead was built by Patsy Durack with the assistance from others including his sons Michael and John. Completed in 1895 on the banks of the Ben River on Argyle Downs Station. At a time when conditions and life in the Kimberley were often harsh and unpredictable. Constructed of handcrafted limestone blocks with crushed termite mounds used as the mortar. It was a magnificent building for its time. The original homestead was spacious and comfortable with wide shaded verandas and breezeways throughout. Over time, yards, outbuildings and a large indigenous community sprung up around the homestead. It was central to the vast family enterprise that at its peak comprised 5 stations encompassing an area the size of Belgium. The Argyle homestead maintained this position until the stations were sold in 1950. The famous pioneering Durack family home became known far and wide as one of the social gathering places of the East Kimberley. Once the Ord River Dam was completed in early 1971, Lake Argyle began to fill more rapidly than anyone anticipated. The homestead was dismantled stone by stone, stored in Kununurra and rebuilt towards the end of the decade, 15 kilometres from its original position. Even graves and plaques were relocated. In 1979, the building was opened as a museum. It's estimated to be around 85% true to the original building. The original site is now under 25 metres of water in Lake Argyle. Local Aboriginal families also had to relocate at that time, and their traditional country is forever underwater. The museum is dedicated to the pioneering spirit of the Durack family, and some of the displays illustrate the prominent farming family's 2-year journey across the continent. Travelling from their original home in Queensland all the way to Kununurra with 2,000 head of cattle to establish the first cattle station in the region, which grew to become a successful and productive business. Patrick and his family of 6 children established a family dynasty in the Ord Valley and launched enterprises that were instrumental in opening up the north of Western Australia. Needless to say, the Duracs have had a significant impact on the region, not only in the cattle industry, but in the arts and even the Ord Valley irrigation scheme that ultimately flooded their original landholding. So after moving his cattle all the way from New South Wales, Queensland, Northern Territory and into the outback of Western Australia, into the Kimberley region, here lies Patsy Durack, his final resting spot at 50 years of age. Yeah, which is pretty cool. They pulled the house apart, moved it. It got moved twice because it got moved from where it was on the Argyle station to Kununurra, and then from Kununurra back out to the edges of Lake Argyle. While viewing these plots, we could hear the distinctive calls of the great bowerbird nearby, and we found its nest under a large tree. There was one bowerbird attending the nest, while another was in the tree above. The great bowerbird is a common and conspicuous resident of Northern Australia, from the area around Broome, across the top end to Cape York, and as far south as Mount Isa. Their favourite habitat is a broad range of forests, woodlands and the margins of vine forests. They are also great mimics and have been known to mimic cats and dogs, other birds and even the blue-winged kookaburra's demonic crackling. Then it was back to the caravan park to hit that infinity pool.
Get in.
It's nice to be in.
It's hit.
With the trees. Gives him a haircut as he goes. On the next episode, which is an absolute cracker, we enjoy our bush banquet, take a boat ride on the lake, see how crocodiles survive in the wild, I get to catch a barramundi and we make our way to El Crestro Station to spend some time exploring this amazing place. Maybe it's better.